But generally mosquitoes are...
I think they...
we don't have much trouble with them.
If you ask me about mosquitoes, I'd say in our house here we haven't seen, this summer I don't think we had a mosquito buzzing around. And I always associate mosquitoes with shallow water. I don't know if that's right, like stagnant water, isn't it? But around here, like the nature reserves are all quite deeper waters.
They do have quite a significant impact on our life. I think we are so close to open water, and over the years, the 20 years that we've been here living as a couple here with our family, I would say that it has progressively year on year got worse.
Our ceilings and walls in the house are spotted with squash mosquitoes.
To me, they've never been a problem. You're aware of them, but they're not really. No, they're just. And sometimes they're just another insect that might bite you. That's my thoughts. You watch out for the horseflies and you watch out for things that are biting you. And mosquito, in my mind, is part of that.
It's just part of the environment. They've got every right to be here as much as we have, so I don't really see a problem.
It's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. This summer's been terrible, and they absolutely attack you, and it depends on your friends, depending on their blood. Apparently they attract others, but I literally light the candles 3 hours before. Going to go out in the evening, I put mosquito bands on, and I'd rather be out here like this. If you light a little fire, I've got a chimney, it gets rid of them. They don't like the smoke and they don't like the smell. So genuinely, it's not the end of the world if you do those things. And I genuinely think for the sake of some mosquito candles and some bands, it's okay.
There is loads of mosquitoes down here, I guess because it is so wet. So yeah, in the evenings, especially like summertime, you can go out and it's just humming. Like you can just see like clouds of them, they're everywhere. And 2 of my younger sisters, they have to sleep under mosquito nets because it's that bad some of the time. But yeah, there is a lot of them down here. It does quite affect the animals as well, and they get bitten as well. We have to use a lot of like repellent and stuff. Mostly the horses you see it in, they get really irritated by them. Some like evenings you'll go out and they're all just galloping around trying to get rid of the mosquitoes.
One night I was walking around and I bumped into a bunch of people, including my mate Dave. Dave was completely excited by the swarms of mosquitoes. Every single inch of air was vibrating with little buzzy insects, and Dave was in raptures about it, and he started talking about how the insects fed the fish, which was the beginning of the food cycle, and how important that was. And I suddenly started to see the significance of these irritating little buzzing things in the whole cycle of life. And I thought perhaps if I can pick up some of Dave's massive enthusiasm for mosquitoes, it might help me be less irritated by them. And so I tried to learn to love the mosquito, and I did find that they annoyed me less.
If I was being consistent, I'd say I need to understand the sort of beings of mosquitoes and why they're there, and cherish them, no doubt, but I haven't got to that stage yet.
I love mosquitoes. The more mosquitoes we have here, the better, really. And that's all insects, but I'm convinced that one of the biggest problems facing and I'm really passionate about birds, our bird life, certainly farmland birds and wetland birds, is the lack of insects. So I don't want them to bring diseases here, and that would be a real problem, but we can combat that with modern day medicine and drugs. But yeah, look, if we could have more insects, that would be absolutely fantastic.
I mean, it is a concern that there are mosquitoes that vector malaria, and they're not far away. We have had them in this country before, and if it gets warmer, there's a fair chance they will come. But I think the main issue there is not to say, oh my God, there are mosquitoes coming. the main issue is, why are they coming? And it would be because of global warming. What are we going to do about that? And to be honest, I think people need to start waking up to that.
We need to be very careful at the moment because, going back to, I think, just the 19th century, people suffered from the ague. I think Hackney around there was and Romney Marshes because of the mosquitoes. Ague is just a form of malaria, and I think if with global warming, I think it's going to be, malaria could be a risk factor again. But draining wetlands to prevent it happening is not the answer, I'm sure.
I guess because, I've been in countries where malaria is really rife, and to me, mosquitoes here, even though it's a bit of a nuisance, it doesn't feel like it's dangerous, so I don't really worry about that.
If we were in the situation that they are in some parts of the world and they were carrying Zika virus, it would make me look at them slightly differently. I don't think there's going to be a significant change in my lifetime, but if there is, we'll just have to adapt to it.
We saw this, horrible disease in places such as, parts of South America, in Brazil. The Zika virus, if that was to spread to Europe and then into the UK, that could have devastating consequences really for us as humans.
I think the climate is warming up and it's getting more moist, and I think it could be more of a problem as time goes on. And we're sitting here in a wetland, and we've already had blue tongue, these ticks that came over from France, generally moving up through Europe, and we had this with the cattle, with the blue tongue outbreak a few years ago. So things are coming our way. So I think it's something in the future that needs to be looked at and just monitored, I think would be the right word.
Monitoring it helps. It helps to know what species there are, it helps to know what relative numbers there are, so that if there are radical changes, and those radical changes are likely to impact on other organisms, then I think we need to know and make rational decisions about that.
I do think mosquitoes have to be controlled because, the way that we were getting rid of malaria worldwide, I think we would see problems again with that, perhaps, if mosquitoes started coming back and spreading infection.
I am aware that some of the chemicals that have been used to destroy mosquitoes really can do other damage, so I would hope that there's research going on, so if that were to be the case, then we've got a solution in waiting.
I've got more of a problem with people using what I would consider to be questionable chemicals. I'd be far more worried about people using chemicals to destroy things when I was concerned about the effect that had on the environment and people.
We have a responsibility to people, especially if we're encouraging them onto the nature reserve. We know that we have Lyme disease in this area, so we're we don't stop people going on the reserve, and we don't stop staff and volunteers going on the reserve, but we have a strict protocol in place about how we manage people who get tick bites. If we do get mosquitoes that carry disease, how we approach that, and we educate people and explain what it's all about. That's the key. And you've got to be quite pragmatic about it, and not take away lots of really positive things that are good for people, or by sort of saying, no, you can't come to this landscape.